Hi, and welcome to Tim and Joel's Weekly Draw. Tonight's the Elimination Chamber, and Joel, in links of chain/distance, how good do you think the Elimination Chamber is going to be? Now, bear in mind that the Elimination Chamber itself possesses 3.2 kilometers of chain link. How good from one tiny chain link to 3.2 kilometers worth of chain do you think this is going to be?
2 miles.
That's the entire length. It's the same. It's 2 miles, 3.2 kilometers.
I just wanted our American friends to feel included.
Well,
we're an inclusive people.
Mm.
And if you want to be inclusive with us, this is my plug now. That's right. If you want to be inclusive with us, you head over to timandjoelpod.com and you can subscribe to our channel and hopefully be a part of us live every single Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern as we record Tim and Joel Call It in the Ring. That's our weekly podcast. Now, Tim, did you have anything else to add with the 2 miles of chain link?
You derailed the whole thing. That's what I'm saying. Because let me get this straight. You're saying that it is going to be as good as it could possibly ever be.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there have been 26 chamber matches.
That's too many.
Going into tonight.
It's a thing of diminishing returns. Diminishing returns. The more of this you see, the less good it's going to be. At best, we're getting 1 mile worth of chain.
Listen, 20 of those 26 chamber matches were for a championship. 6 of them were for a championship match at WrestleMania. 3 of them were women's division matches. Unfortunately, none of those chamber matches are for tonight, but 3 of them were tag team division matches, including 1 women's tag match. By the way, the first tag team elimination chamber match, not very good. The other 2 were great.
Sounds awful. Okay, wait. No. Are there 12 people in the ring or 3 teams?
There are 6 teams. And the champion, the teams are put in pods.
I'm disappointed I have not seen a single one. Which one is the best?
The one, I think it was 2 years ago, where they had the spot where Lindsay Dorado and Grand Metalik, I think Lindsay went off the top of the chamber, did a flip, landed on everybody.
Oh, like that thing that hurt that guy in AAA.
No, but I don't want to go there either.
Okay.
Really glad to hear you're watching AAA, though.
No, just when people get hurt.
Oh, no.
Reddit filters it for me. Don't worry about it.
That's very true. Let's move along.
Yeah,
let's talk about the chamber match because that's what they want to hear about. For the WWE Championship, the Elimination Chamber match will be champion Drew McIntyre taking on Sheamus, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Kofi Kingston, and Jeff Hardy. Sheamus will be the last man to enter the chamber. We know that much. But otherwise, this is a toss-up. It's a pick-em. It's a who knows. I mean, what do you think? This was supposed to be Sheamus versus Drew. That's all they want. That's all people have been clamoring for since there was a one-on-one match that, Drew accepted and Sheamus challenged. And then Adam Pearce and Shane McMahon made this match. What do you expect? Do you expect anyone else coming out of this chamber match as a victor?
As a victor, it's either Sheamus or Drew. One of them is gonna win the title, is my feeling. Drew retains or Sheamus gets the win leading into WrestleMania, and then Drew gets a second WrestleMania moment, perhaps. What I do see aside from this is a bunch of interference. We've got at least 2 storylines that have primed themselves for people to make their presence known in the Elimination Chamber. So I think we got to keep a lookout for that and kind of expect it a little bit, but we'll see. WWE has been proving me wrong quite a bit lately.
Give me a case for one of these guys. Give me a case for Randy or AJ Styles, Kofi Kingston, or Jeff Hardy winning the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, the easiest one I think is there's 2. The easiest one is Kofi because they started to do the little bit of hinting at Kofi Mania 2. I feel like that's smoke and mirrors. They're not actually going to deliver on that. They're just trying to add another layer of suspense to the chamber. Alternatively, Randy wins it and Edge challenges him at WrestleMania. But I feel like, again, we're leaving a loose thread with the Fiend in there. So I don't really see that happening.
That's fair. There's also one more pay-per-view before WrestleMania. So Fastlane, you could blow off Randy and The Fiend, but the fact that we've been waiting and every month it's been Is the Fiend coming back? Is the Fiend coming back? Where's the Fiend? And we're not getting it. They're really trying to build up for something big, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a world in which AJ Styles walks out as a WWE champion and maybe challenges Drew McIntyre for that title at WrestleMania?
Really
Is that a match you'd like to see?
Not really, no. I don't really want to see that.
There are a few other options on the table I think we'll see as we get down to this card, because Drew and Sheamus could be that one-on-one match at Fastlane with another contender in mind. So let's continue down the card, and I think you'll see it coming once we get there.
Okay.
For the Universal Championship, there's a number one contender match in the Elimination Chamber. It's going to be Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Cesaro, Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn, and King Corbin. It's a wide open field because the winner of this match will face Roman Reigns at one point in the night for the Universal Championship. We don't know if that's going to happen right after the match ends, if it's going to be later in the night. We don't know, but that will also determine who wins that chamber match. Because if it's one guy who gets the crap beat out of him and Roman just walks in and pins him, that's one story. If it's one guy barely wins the chamber match and then has an hour and a half to sit in the back and catch their breath and get some work done, it can be a completely different person winning this match. So my question to you is, Tim, why will King Corbin win this match?
Okay, if King Corbin does win, then it's going to be a later in the evening match. Like, I feel like they'll do a weird Corbin Reigns thing, and they'll get to have a few minutes to play it out, and I won't understand why. So I'm hoping that that's not really what's going to happen. I fully expect it. The heel thing to do is to come in directly after the match, right?
Yes. And again, going back to what we've talked about on our podcast and on these prediction shows, every single time Roman Reigns defends his title, it's always with a stipulation or with Roman having the upper hand somehow.
Yeah.
So this is another opportunity for them to tell that story, to move it forward, that Roman, again, as the tribal chief, as the man in charge, as the man who calls the shots, the head of the table, gets to call the shot again and just walk right in and have his match right after that chamber match ends.
Exactly. Which, and you know, I kind of feel like maybe it's going to be KO again. You know, he's going to go through everyone. He's going to be, you know, he'll get the tar beaten out of him during the match is what I would expect. And then he'll put up a little bit of a fight, but Roman will pin him pretty quick is what I expect for this. And
this past Friday on SmackDown, we did see Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, and Cesaro gain the quote-unquote momentum. ever present, ever popular momentum. And they won that 6-man tag team match, which of course ended with every single man hitting their finisher, including Edge and Roman having their moment. Is there a spot where you think maybe Cesaro can walk in and win? Again, that's a big conversation that's been happening, is that Cesaro signs a new contract with WWE, starts getting that push. He's seen on camera with Daniel Bryan a lot getting pushed. Is there room for Cesaro in the Universal Championship conversation?
I feel like the story they told on Friday is telling us that it's going to be Edge versus Roman, is what I'm getting at WrestleMania. We were talking about the exact same thing with Nakamura not that long ago, right? I think they're doing a great job building both of those men back into the main event scene, and we're going to see them there in the near future. I just don't think it's going to be before WrestleMania. I think they're going to have big matches at WrestleMania, and then they're going to have big 2020 ones after that. But
now, a few years ago, there was a certain WrestleMania that featured a certain Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson making his return and having a WWE Championship match against John Cena. So leading into that, you had the Royal Rumble match where The Rock wins that title, but before that, there was a Survivor Series match, and it was a tag team match between John Cena and The Rock, and then The Miz and R-Truth. So my question becomes, at Fastlane, is there a chance, do you think, since we're talking about Roman and Edge, is there a chance that maybe we see Roman and Jey Uso team up to take on Edge and Christian?
We haven't really seen a lot of Christian since the Royal Rumble bit. I don't know if he's back to being that level of able to perform. If he is, that would be great. I think that's a good way to build us into Roman versus Edge at WrestleMania. I think that would be a good story. I just don't know the status of Christian. I don't know if he's at that level because, you know, the Royal Rumble is one thing when you've got 10 other guys in the ring to kind of, you can do a pretty light workload. But when it's, you know, just a tag team match and at one point you got to be the one guy versus the one guy in the ring, it's a bit tougher to maintain that and keep you safe.
Well, again, we're looking forward to a match that we have no idea is going to exist at Fastlane. For now, we have the Elimination Chamber. Did we make our picks? Did we really make a pick on that one?
I'm saying KO is what I'm saying.
You're saying KO.
Yeah, and then he gets pinned immediately after because Roman comes out and is like, I didn't say when. I said tonight. I mean right now.
So you can see KO getting beat up. You can see Jey Uso maybe just laying down. You can see Cesaro maybe having a competitive 8-minute match and then getting laid out.
Yep.
Daniel Bryan, same thing.
Yep.
Sami Zayn, it could be a big Sami just yells and yells and yells and then gets a boot to the face and that's it. King Corbin, again, you and I talked about it. Corbin could just say, hey, no, we're not doing this now. We'll do it later. But then that shows more balls on King Corbin than I think they're used to showing.
Yeah, and I don't think they're willing to really do that too. And it's also a weird match, right? Heel v heel.
Yeah, and that is strange. And again, we don't know if Edge will be there tonight. I think it's safe to assume he will because he did say he will face the winner of that match at WrestleMania. So for those keeping track at home, that is Roman Reigns' 6th title defense. Moving back, I forgot to mention that for Drew McIntyre, that's his 4th title defense in the chamber tonight. So this match that we're going to talk about next is for the Raw Women's Championship. Asuka's the champion. And Lacey Evans is still the challenger. They are still promoting it on WWE.com, on their socials, as of today, as of this afternoon. That match hasn't been called off, Tim.
Yeah.
And it's getting a lot of people talking.
So that starts to suggest to me that maybe the pregnancy's a work and it's going down the horrifying road that we laid out with this storyline. But maybe it's not. Maybe they'll do something safe with her. And keep it going. I don't know what they could do because they would want to cut this short. If she's legitimately pregnant, they would want this done so that they could move on to building something else for WrestleMania.
So I don't want to go out and say that the pregnancy is not real. I feel like despite the fact that no one has officially said anything on their socials, and again, that they're not,
no,
they don't have to. They're not obliged
absolutely
to.
not. Don't care.
But with that in mind, I understand where you're coming from. And I made reference to it recently. And the person I was talking to was like, no, it was covered by this. Basically, a whole bunch of places had mentioned that it's a legitimate pregnancy. And that's great. I'm very happy for Lacey and her family. Now, we still have this match. How do we do this match? I said it on Twitter, and I'll say it again. Asuka's going to try and take one shot at Lacey. Lacey's going to duck, land a women's right. Asuka goes down. Lacey gets the pin, 1, 2, 3. Or somehow Ric Flair gets involved and stops Asuka from making any comeback or anything like that. Lacey Evans becomes the new Raw Women's Champion and then says, well, I can't defend this while I'm pregnant. And we go up and maybe we'll do a tournament, a mini tournament that culminates at Fastlane or leading up to WrestleMania.
That seems so crummy to Asuka. Like...
Absolutely, but they haven't really treated Asuka well. She won that title how long ago and has only defended how many times since then? We talked about it on our last show. There was her last 10-minute match was her winning the title against Sasha Banks. Every other match has been a disqualification or a 2-minute squash or a DQ that leads to a tag team. It doesn't work, and they're not treating it well because they just don't have any plans for Asuka.
Yeah,
creative.
It's a shame.
Creative is not ready for Asuka, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
sorry to cut you off. I had to do it.
That's a good bit. Yeah, I don't know. I hope it doesn't go that way. I hope the pregnancy's a work. Like I don't know anything about these other reporters. I don't follow that. I also don't care if it isn't a work. I hope that they wrap this up soon so that she can get out of the picture and people who can actually like work WrestleMania are able to start getting their story built.
I feel like the idea of making a pregnancy a work, given how it looked and how people followed up on it, feels weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's always felt weird. Every time they've done it, it's been weird.
Right. And you compound what happened on Wednesday, which you and I talked about on our show with Kyle O'Reilly. Again, that was completely unexpected and everything went the way it did. So to do that twice in 1 week would be pretty strange. To do a stretcher job and a pregnancy angle, it would be it'll be something else.
Maybe they were just feeling bold this week.
Maybe. I mean, it's WrestleMania season. They do tend to throw some things at the wall to see what is going to get people talking. So, with that in mind, let's get people talking with the with the United States Championship. There's a triple threat match going on with Bobby Lashley, Matt Riddle, and Keith Lee. Now, Keith Lee, they were saying this past week it was uncertain if he'd be in the match. Apparently, it is going to happen that Lee will be in the match. Now, here's where I was talking earlier about opponents for Drew McIntyre. For Bobby Lashley, it's too early in the morning for me. Bobby Lashley has been kept strong. I'm talking real strong. He hasn't lost a singles match since Backlash. And you know who he faced at Backlash? He's the current WWE champion. Now, I don't count the Riddle oddity. There was that one match on Raw where Lashley got the tap out and then they didn't show it and then Riddle got the pin. And I don't count that. That was a stupid angle. I don't count it. But before that, Lashley hadn't been pinned since WrestleMania 36.
Damn.
His opponent for that, by the way, was Aleister Black. I don't know where he is right now.
Yeah.
But for Lashley, this is his 6th defense of the United States Championship since SummerSlam that he's held it. So I'm going to ask, it's a triple threat. Do you see the title changing hands or do you see Lashley hanging on? What are you looking at for this match?
Okay, so yeah, I want to say Lashley's going to defend it just because I think it's going to take a little bit longer to get him into the main title picture, but he could drop it through, not being pinned, like Keith Lee pins Riddle. After which Lashley is like, I'm done with this tier. I'm moving up, right? And then he goes after Drew, and I think he's a reasonable matchup for Drew at this point because they've built him quite a bit. The Hurt Business is a strong stable. I feel like if they're going to lose gold, they're all going to lose it, like all around the same time. So I don't know where to go with this. I don't know how likely it is. Could go either way.
You make a good point. We haven't seen the Raw Tag Team Champions, also the Hurt Business, Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, since, it's been a few weeks. So you have a point. They could go the route of the Undisputed Era where they all hold gold and then they all drop it around the same time. But I think Lashley has a strong case to be moved into the title scene going into WrestleMania. He has to win a match to give him that, or he has to beat the living tar out of Drew McIntyre and force the match himself, which is something that Lashley continues to do now.
And I mean, he's been doing this for a long time. It feels like it's now or never if he's going to get another like kind of more long-standing push. So
yep. And you know what they did? I believe they did Lashley and McIntyre in Impact, and it went over real well. So there's space there. And I agree with you that Riddle and Lee will probably factor into the pinfall. And it will be one pinning the other with Lashley out of the ring completely out there doing something else. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
So, speaking of out there doing something else, we added a match on SmackDown.
What?
The Women's Tag Team Championships will be on the line. The champions Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler will put up the championships for the first time since winning them at the Royal Rumble against Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. Now, I'm a fan of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler appearing on all brands, including NXT, where they're going to be facing Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, who won the Dusty Cup. They'll be facing them on March the 3rd. I'm intrigued by that. We also have Lana and Naomi. They also have a tag team championship match in the books sometime down the line.
True.
I'm a big fan of that. Banks and Belair are about to have potentially a match at WrestleMania. I'm a fan of that. I'm not a fan of a certain WrestleMania trope that we've seen before where the champion and the challenger are the tag team champions going into WrestleMania.
Yeah, which is one way they could do it. We could also start telling that story by having them not quite get along in this match, right? And have that breakdown in communication lead to them lead to them being at each other's throats at WrestleMania. Like, because I don't think it makes sense to put the belts on them, but it is something that has been done in the past and we could do, but let's not do that.
You could hot potato the belts. You easily could. But unfortunately, looking at the next people in line, listen, what can you do? Jackson Baszler drop it to Banks and Belair. Banks and Belair are going to go down to NXT, face Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Kai and Gonzalez win. How do they win? Who knows? But they win. And then Lana and Naomi have a match against Kai and Gonzalez. You still have the proper framing in terms of the good guys and the bad guys, the heels and the faces dynamic, but you kind of hot potato it to get there.
Yeah, and you weaken your champs and the Royal Rumble winner a little bit by having them go down to the development show and lose, right? Like, again, we do the breakdown. Yeah.
You pop a rating, though. You pop a big rating, potentially, by having those two go down. Belair was big on NXT. Banks, obviously, is massive as well for her brands. There is a reason to do it.
Yeah, and it would pop those two pretty astronomically, so...
And then you can still tell the story of one turning on the other or something happening that, you know, someone loses the tag titles. And then remember, there's still Carmella in the background because Reginald's been out there pretending to like Sasha and saying, you know, treat me nice, Reginald, or we're going to have problems, so on and so forth. And there's still one more pay-per-view before WrestleMania where Banks and Belair are scheduled to face off.
Yeah.
So with this in mind, do you have a winner for this match? Do we do this long road to WrestleMania build up with the women's tag titles involved? Or is it one and done and Jackson Baszler move on?
I'm going to say Jackson Baszler retain. That's what I'm going to say happens.
I think we're on the road to a Sasha Banks turning and being the bad, cocky heel, which she normally plays very well in her match against
I think I prefer
Belair.
her, as a heel. So
yeah. So we have a full card tonight. We have a lot more going on than I think people realize when it comes to the Elimination Chamber. It can be a very good show, and it's at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight on the WWE Network. Oh, we did it.
We did it.
Good one. Wow. Tim, where can the kids find you?
Kids can find me at TimStoneP, TimbStonep on Twitter.
Go follow Tim, everybody. He's a wonderful follow. And you can find me on all forms of social media at Joel Pearl, JoelPearl. You can find the show, youtube.com/TimandJoelPod. We're there every single Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, talking about wrestling, wrapping the week, doing what we do here, but maybe with a little more looseness, because that's what we like to be. Okay? All right. And until then, ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, enjoy Elimination Chamber, and we'll see you next week for the weekly draw.